classwork. And I saw all those entrance tickets you guys did. I was so excited. The class periods pretty much are all intended by me to be times for you to get help actually doing the work. So please remember how important those homework assignments are, because if you don't actually look at the examples before we come to class, that's going to make it a little bit challenging for you, right? So please make sure that you take care of that. I got lots of entrance tickets though, so I know that you guys did do those notes on mean, median, mode, and range. At least the vast majority of us did. So today it is time for us to practice. And remember that you know that this is something we're going to do in class because it has the little computer screen by it. So I had a couple of you guys, when I posted this assignment last night, which is awesome. I love that so many of you were so on the ball and already saw your assignment. But some of you guys were asking me questions about how to do it. You never have to do that for something that has a computer by it, because I'm always going to explain it to you in class that day. The only stuff, remember, that you're ever going to do on your own is stuff that has a notebook by it. So this has a computer, so you know we're doing that today. So go ahead and click that link. And don't click login or anything yet, because the login process is a tad bit confusing, to be honest. Give me a second to get mine. All right, so you should, I'm going to pause for a minute, make sure everybody is able to get to this screen. If for some reason you need me to stop for a moment, please write that down for me or just yell out at me. But if I don't have anybody writing something on the board or yelling out at me, I'm going to assume you guys are good. So it's tempting. You would think that you would type your name here and then click go. But that is not what you are going to do. Okay, we have an upgraded account that is called a portfolio account, and that means that it's going to save all your work for you the whole time. So the class code is in there, but you're really not going to do anything with it. Oh, I totally see what you're saying about the class code is different. Thank you for pointing that out. Because I can see why that would be confusing. The reason the class code is different from the one on your screen, thank you. See, this is why the whiteboard stuff is great. That's something that didn't even occur to me that would be confusing for you guys. And that's actually, so I basically have created a fake algebra class using my own kids, because you know my kids go to JCPS. And so I've basically hacked my own kids' accounts. And I've created a fake algebra account so that you can see what everything looks like from a student side. A teacher versus a kid version of Google Classroom looks pretty different. So I always try to show you things from the kid's perspective, which is why your class code is different. Probably from I know for sure it's different because this is the fake class that I created for my kids. And so that class code is pretty much never going to be the same when I show you an example. Doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. And thank you so much, ma'am, for bringing that to my attention. It didn't even occur to me that that might be confusing to you guys. All right, so moving onward. So you're going to think that you're going to want to go here. You're not going to go there. Instead, you're going to click that log in button, because the fact that you're a portfolio student means that it's going to save literally everything you've done all year long, so you can always refer back to it. And then you are going to click continue with Google. You're not going to use a username and password. You're going to continue with Google, because it is connected to your Google account. Choose the correct account for you. And if everything goes correctly, the assignment, oh shoot, I have this, I forgot, I already had this open on another thing. So it's not letting me, hold on. I need to get back in there, guys. My bad, hold up. Thanks for your patience while I'm trying to figure this stuff out. Alrighty, there we go. So if I did everything correctly, the assignment should pop up. Your assignment should, this is exactly what your screen should look like right now. If you need me to slow down or if you need a second to get figured out, make sure you send me a little note or speak up, but I don't see anything from anybody. So I'm going to assume that means that we got to the right place. And this is the app that we will always use for work during class. And the menu is right up here across the top. And so it has things like a pen feature. It has, so there's the eraser. This allows you to highlight. This allows you to type words, little text boxes. When we get to graphing, I'm super excited. This allows you to draw lines. And there's also a couple of really super cool features that I love. So for example, this one right here. Oh, did you say your assignment was different?
Yeah, our assignments are not the same as yours.
Oh.
They're different.
Whatever.
Nope, you're right. Let me go to the right one. My bad. Thank you. That doesn't really matter right now, but that's going to be very important in a second. Yeah, I just saw you writing that. Sorry. I realized on my kid's fake account, I clicked on the wrong one. So let's try this again, shall we? All right, is that the one? Thanks, guys. Fingers crossed I didn't screw up again. There we go. This is the right one. Okay. So the functions are all still the same. Oh yeah, so what I was going to say is the thing that I love about it is that you can click this like add audio right here. And because for some people, I know you guys are going to learn really quickly that my handwriting is literally like horrifying. So even though I really don't like the sound of my voice either, sometimes it's like faster. So I could say, hey, Dr. PB, I'm really confused about number 2. Stop it. And you can just, it pops right up in there so that I can see it. And every mark that you make, I can actually see it on my side as the teacher exactly the second that you're doing it, just like the whiteboard app. Shakayla, does yours still, I see a couple people, when I get done explaining how this works, the couple of you guys that have given me a message, hang tight so I can explain this.
No, it's fine now, actually.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so that's a really cool feature that you can add voice to it. You can change the pen color. There's all kinds of stuff on here that you can kind of play around with. So again, the reason we're always going to use this for in class is because obviously we're not together right now, but I can see what you're writing exactly as you're writing it. So I can bounce from person's paper to paper, and I can do things like tell you, add a little text box that says you've got it all correct. I'm a really big nerd and kind of a dork, so I've been like kind of a little bit too obsessed, to be honest, with like these cool little like stickers that I can give you guys. So like I can go to somebody's work and I can give you like little stickers that I've started creating, like stuff like that. I can also give you my own feedback using my voice, to say, hey, take a look at number 2, because sometimes that's faster and easier. So the point is that, I told you guys that I had a really hard time in school, particularly in math, and I have a feeling I'm not the only one out there that would go home, think you did your homework right, you got home, you did it all, you got back to school the next day, and you realized, oh, teacher told me I did it all wrong. That used to happen to me a lot. So it's really important to me that's why I've got our homework flipped so that you can do the notes ahead of time so that when you're actually doing the practice, you can do it here with me. So in order to make that the most effective, I need to see your work as you're actually working on it, because if you get all the way down to the end and it turns out they're all wrong, that's not the best situation for anybody. So, I know some of you guys don't really like typing stuff on here. Totally get that. If you have a phone that has a touch screen, there is an Apple and an Android version of the app. It works pretty well. Actually on the Chrome browser too on your phone. It's kind of small, but you can stretch it out. The only thing that's kind of different is that obviously it's a smaller screen. So this whole menu right here is like condensed into kind of like a drop down menu, but it does work pretty good. I've tried it a little bit. And so if you prefer to do it on a touch screen and you don't have something bigger like an iPad, it does work pretty decently on your phone too. But let's say you hate all those ideas. You just want to do it on paper. I get it. I am totally fine with that. So this is my last favorite feature for how you can do that. So let's say, for example, you've done number 1. You did it on paper. I don't want you to go on to number 2 because I want to see your work for number 1 so I can check you as you're going. So here's what you can do about that. Right up here in the little camera looking thing, you can click camera. And most of those Chromebooks that you guys have, I've been told anyway, do have a webcam on them. So you can, and my son and I were playing with his Chromebook yesterday and it's pretty easy. You can literally just hold your work for number 1 up to the camera and click capture. And it will just pop a picture of your work right in there for me so that I can go ahead and take a look at your number 1 without waiting until the end to see whether or not you did it correctly. So even if you don't want to use the typing or the pen function, you can upload a picture and just do it on paper, and that is 100% okay with me. As long as I can see what you're doing as you're doing it, that's the whole point. That's what I want. The other thing that's pretty cool is that, let's say I'm stuck on number 2, right over here in this right-hand corner, that yellow button allows me to raise my hand to get help. There's also an option to raise your hand. I'm going to put my hand down so you can see. To raise your hand if you just want me to like check one. So you can say please help or please check. And so you guys, when you're working in your class, there's a little icon right up here, and every time somebody in your class raises their hand for help, you get a little notification right there too that tells you that. So you could actually, and by the way, when you put your hand up to ask for help, it is anonymous. Well, I know who it is, but the kids in the class do not. You can't actually see the names when you do that. So let's say you see somebody in your class needs help. You can click on that box and you can go to that person and you can do a few different things. So you guys can chat to each other by typing like, what's up? How can I help? So you can actually like type right on that person's paper. You guys can leave each other little voice messages real quick. So you can communicate that way and help each other, which I love that feature. So let's say that I'm stuck on number 1. I raised my hand and Carl came to help me. He helped me get the answer for number 1. What I'd like you to do is add a little text box that says something like, Carl helped me on this problem. And then that way, when I'm going back and grading it, like if you're helping your classmates and taking your time out of class to help them, I really want to make sure that's recognized. So I will go back and add some extra, I'll spot you some engagement credit for every time you help a classmate. Because let's be honest, there's a lot more of you than there is me. So it might be easier to get help from a classmate, and as long as you're being helpful to them, it'll pay off for your grade too. So that's kind of nice. So, like I said, today I'm not as worried about the content. I really just wanted to make sure that we learn how to use the software today. That is my big goal for today, is to do nothing but make sure we understand how to use the program. I am going to do one of the problems on the paper, and what I would like for you to do to practice is decide, are you going to be a pen person? Are you going to type? Are you going to upload a picture? How do you think that you're going to use this program? And go ahead and practice that with me right now while we go over one of the problems. You guys always have the added benefit of being the very last class that I do this lesson with every week, because I've already had my earlier classes yesterday. And so I see what problems they had when we're going over stuff. And everybody had an issue with number 4. So instead of like 900 of you guys raising your hand, I'm just going to do number 4 right from the get-go with you and kind of review for you like how to find that mean, median, mode, and range. So make the decision now. I want you to be working this with me somehow, some way, whether you type, whether you upload an image of your work on paper, whatever you choose to do. We're going to go ahead and do that now. So we have a table, and I'm going to walk you through like how to do one. So we have a table of values, and these are all different senators that are actually in office now and the age they were when they took office. And the directions, of course, asked us to find the mean, the median, the mode, and the range. So I'm going to start with the mean. And I know that the majority of you guys did your entrance ticket, so you already know this, but it might be good just kind of jog your memory really quickly. Remember to find the mean, which we frequently call the average as well. There are 2 steps for finding the mean. That first step is that you need to add all these numbers together. So I'm going to pull up my calculator, and I strongly recommend, I know a lot of you guys just have phone calculators. I'm going to post a link to a calculator that's online that I think would be better for you guys to use, because the crappy thing about your phone calculator, and I know there are some exceptions, but a lot of the time they don't save. Like I'm getting ready to add all these numbers together, right? I could very easily mistype something, put something in the wrong place, something like that, and I would have no idea if I'm doing it on my phone. Because my phone anyway, like once I add the number in, it like disappears. It just like gives me a running total. So I'm going to post a link to a calculator that actually shows you what numbers you put in and saves that for you so that you can use that instead, because I really recommend it. So our first step is, of course, that we need to add all these numbers together. So I am going to do that. I'm going to put all those ages in here. Hopefully you are doing the same thing. Please actually do the same thing with me at home, because I'm not going to lie, I mess up all the time. Today could definitely be no different. I could type something in wrong. So y'all pay attention, make sure I don't screw up. Okay, so I think I got them all in there. So this is so important. Because a lot of you guys, especially if you've done your exit ticket, you already know what the next step is, and you know the next step is to divide. Before you do division, you need to make sure that you hit the enter button. Make sure you hit equals or enter so that you actually get that total from adding them together. If you don't do that, Like if you do the adding and then you just add the division onto the end before you hit equals, your calculator does order of operations and it'll divide before it adds and you won't get the right answer. So when you add, make sure you put the equal sign in there every single time. Okay, so we added it together and we got 846. If that's incorrect, somebody please speak up and let me know because I am far from perfect. I certainly could have goofed. I think that's right though. So we're going to add them together. And then step 2, most of you guys already know this. We're going to divide by how many numbers there are in that data set. So if I look at how many ages are up there, let's see, I've got 13, 14, 15. So there's 17 numbers. There's 17 individual ages up there in that list. So that means that we're going to take that 846 and we're going to divide it by 17 numbers. So 846. BT dubs in algebra class now, we don't use the little baby division symbol anymore. We use the little slash because that is, and it really doesn't matter today. I'm kind of being like just nitpicky by saying that today, but it'll be very, very, very important later. So we're going to do 846 and we're going to divide it by 17 because again, that 17 came from having 17 different numbers in that data set. And I committed a big sin for math teachers. I did not tell you in the directions how I wanted you to round. And this gives you kind of a jacked up, janky decimal here. If you put it in your calculator, it gives you like, let's see, it's like 49, if I did this right anyway. Somebody correct me if I don't have it right. But it's like 49.764, and then it just keeps going on and on and on, right? In math, we're typically going to round to 1 decimal place. So remember from grade school the way you do the rounding, right? You look at the one next to it. If that number is 5 or bigger, you round it up. So the official rounded version of our mean is going to be 49.8 because we're going to round that 0.7 up to 0.8. So what I've done here is a perfect example of how to show your work. I'm not asking you to write a novel or anything like that. When you're showing your work, if I see this right here, I know what you did. I know what you added and what you got. I know what you divided by. So that's good enough for me. I don't need you to, write out all the adding that you did or anything like that. But I do need to see what the number was that you got when you added. And I need to see what you divided by in order to be able to get that. So let's move on. We've got the mean. Let's do the mode next. And again, if you've done your entrance ticket, you're going to remember this pretty well, I think. But just in case, hold on one second. I think somebody... Oh, no, sorry. I thought somebody was trying to get in for a second. I was wrong. JK. All right. So those of you guys who did your... Can you still see my screen? Hoping I didn't just mess that up. Okay. Yeah, I see. Thank you, guys. So those of you guys that did your entrance ticket know that the mode is the math way of saying the number that turns up the most often. So now we need to look at all these different ages and we need to see which age was the most common. And if I'm looking at it, there are some ages that I do have more than one. Like I've got a couple of 47s. Actually, I've got 3 47s. I've got, let's see, a couple of 60s. But the one that turns up more than any other number in that list is 50. Because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 50s. So because there's 4 50s and there's only a couple of everything else, that means that my mode is going to be 50. Mode is kind of one of those things that you either know how to do it or you don't. So as far as showing your work for the mode, there's not really a lot of work that you can show there for that one. The next one I'm going to remind you about is the range of a data set. And remember that the range is taking your largest number and subtracting your smallest number. So if I look at my list of ages up here, the largest, what is it, 60? Yep. Okay, so my largest number is going to be 60. And then my smallest number, it looks like...
is 47.
Oh, shoot. Oh, my God. What did I do about the 47, honey?
I was telling you that that's the smallest number.
Oh, thank you. I think you're... Oh, wait. You're almost right. Oh, 39. Got it right there. I think... Yep. Man, that's young. I didn't realize you could even be a senator that. But yeah, 47 would have been the second largest. So we've got our biggest, which is going to be 60. I'm going to try to write this with my mouse. This is probably going to look kind of crappy, but... And then our youngest age was 39. So that means that our range is 21. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong, because Lord knows I could have made a mistake, but I don't think so. And as far as showing your work for the range, this is great. As long as I can see what you subtracted, that is good enough for me. And so I saved the median for last because that's the one that's probably doing the most for this particular activity because there's so many dang numbers. Okay, so for those of us who might have forgotten, remember that, oh, let me get a pen that'll actually show up. So the median is going to be your middle number. Kind of like the median is in the middle of the interstate, right? Right there in the middle. So we can't just be like, okay, well, what's the number in the middle of the list the way it is? We have to have it in order first, from least to greatest, before we can figure out what that middle number is. This is the part where you guys are going to need to watch me, because especially when a list is longer like this is where I always mess up. So somebody yell at me if I skip a number. Even though I've actually worked this problem in like 4 other classes before this one, for some reason, I still always mess this up. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, so we got 39. And then we've got 42. And again, yell at me if I mess this up, y'all, because I could. And then 45. Make sure you're doing this along with me, too. Part of this is to practice, whether you're writing on the screen, doing it on paper, whatever. We should all be doing this together. So I got 45 and then 46. And then I had 1, 2, 3 47s. And then 48. And then all those 50s. So 1, 2, 3, 4 50s. And I'm a really visual person. I have to like scratch things out or I get really kind of overwhelmed visually. Okay, and then I got 51. 55. 59. And then 2 60s. So I always go back and double check to make sure that I wrote them all down. So I'm going to count and make sure I actually have 17 numbers in my list. Yay! That is the first time I've done it right in every single class period the first time. I literally didn't mess one up, did I, y'all? I think I actually got it right. Okay, so because there's 17 numbers, now we've got them in order from least to greatest, and we need the one in the middle. So since there are 17 numbers in the list, that means that we're going to have 8 in the front. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then I'm going to have 8 in the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Something else that I've seen a lot of teachers do in the past is that and this is probably what you guys saw in middle school, a lot of teachers do this, where they'll like knock one off the front, off the back, front, back, and you keep going until you end up with the number in the middle. So if that's more familiar to you because that's the way you were taught to do it, that's fine by me. And you see we've got that one number in the middle. So our median is going to be 50. And this is one where, sorry guys, I gotta have you make sure you show that you've written it out for me so that you can tell what's in the middle. I know that's a hassle, but I really do. It's hard for me to tell where you goofed if I don't see what list of numbers that you started with. So I've got my whiteboard app up. If anybody has a question for me, I'm going to leave this up for just a second. I would like for you now, for the last couple minutes that we have, to try number 1 and number 2. And I want you to practice typing, uploading your work, whatever it is that you're going to do. I've got a couple people telling me they don't have any questions, which is great. Thanks for letting me know that. But if you do, I'm right here. I will see your questions, or you can speak up. Keep an eye for that little hand raising function up at the top. If you want to help up here, that would be fantastic. But I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Does anybody need me to leave this up for another second for you to write anything down before I ditch it?
No, but did you say write the chart?
Oh, the chart, like the numbers in order from least to greatest? Yes, sir.
All right.
Because that'll make it a little harder for me to, like if you do goof, it's kind of hard to figure out where we goofed, if I don't see what list you used. Anybody need me to keep this up for a minute? It's so hard without actually being able to see you. I can't tell where you guys are. Okay. Well, nobody's told me they need me to wait, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen.